on this computer. Okay, I think it's doing it. All right, Lorna, it's all yours.
Okay, well, Lori, welcome. We're really glad to have you here. And for everyone who hasn't read her bio that was sent out, Lori is the president and chief executive officer of Goodwill of the Olympics and Rainier Region. She oversees an $80 million job training, thrift retail, and recycling nonprofit covering 15 counties in Western and Southwestern Washington. I get tired just reading your bio, what you're doing, goodness. Through this unique social enterprise, Goodwill of the Olympics and Rainier Region is able to provide free education, job placement, career pathway services to thousands of people each year, including youth, older workers, military veterans, and people with disabilities, among others. Lori says she's proud and humbled to serve as the leader of this dedicated 1,500-person Goodwill team. It's a large team, and it overlays with our core values so much. We're really excited to hear from you. She comes to us from, before this, from Microsoft, where she oversaw Microsoft Philanthropies, which is a huge job also. She lives in Stadium District with her husband, Blake. Lori, thank you for your time.
Well, thank you so much for the introduction, Gunda. Really nice to see you again. That's that picture is a great capture of the power of Rotary. You know, they had Rotary 8 here in Tacoma and Gig Harbor Rotary both volunteering that day, and got to make a new friend and meet all of you. So this is just wonderful. So I'm happy to walk through the presentation. Lana, do you want me to share my screen, or is somebody else gonna?
You know, I have your presentation up, so you just tell me
great.
if you want to advance.
Sure, but so I will say what you see right here is this is our Milgard Work Opportunity Center. This is our main job training center in Tacoma. It is also our administrative offices, and it's a beautiful building. If you haven't been to visit, it is about just a little over 10 years old, and it's the result of an outpouring of support from the community through a campaign that preceded me, but I am very, very grateful for it and for the opportunity to serve the people through this building and in other ways as well. So yes, let's go ahead and go on to the next slide. So our vision at Goodwill here at the Olympics and Rainier Region is that every person has the opportunity to learn, work, and thrive in all aspects of life. This is a vision statement that our team developed several years ago, and this was developed by our employees. This is our hope, our vision for the future. It's not something that we're going to accomplish on our own, but it is something that we are going to use it as our North Star, that everyone has that opportunity not only to learn, not only to work, but to thrive in every aspect of their life. And so with that, our mission statement, which follows, is really our contribution toward achieving that vision. So our mission is to help people reach their fullest potential through education, job placement, and career pathway services that are made possible by our community donations, purchases, and partnerships. And of course, I think you all know we have a store in Gig Harbor. And so if any of you donate or shop there, we appreciate you. That thrift enterprise is what makes us run. A brief overview of our strategy from a big picture perspective. We provide wraparound services. So we are not just here to deliver a particular class or training course. It's really all the services an individual needs to get ahead in their life. So wraparound services, we try to be a gateway to a sustainable quality of life through living wage employment. We focus on long-term permanent solutions, and we try to be as efficient and as cost-effective with our resources as we possibly can. We are a nonprofit organization. We are a social enterprise, and we appreciate every dollar that comes in our door, and making sure that we dedicate it to the care and the service of the people in our region. So on the next slide, you can see what our region encompasses. We are in 15 counties. Just to step back for a moment, the state of Washington has actually 5 Goodwill organizations that serve the state. We are regional organizations. Uh, in the United States, there's about 155 of us regional organizations. We're all independent. We're all governed by our own local board of directors and managed by our own local staff. And the reason for that is because we are locally focused. So our region is 15 counties. As I mentioned, we're based in Tacoma. We have a lot of services in Pierce County, South King County, Thurston County, and we have services as far as Yakima. We have job training programs there. We have job training programs in Cowlitz County down in the Longview area. And throughout the 15 counties, we have our stores. So this is a large geographical region, quite spread out, and in many cases quite rural, and gives us a lot of good challenges to work on in serving both urban and rural communities across our region. And the next slide gives you a few of our facts. Now, I'm providing our fiscal 19 data because our fiscal year runs October 1 through September 30th. And as you might imagine, fiscal 20 was, we hope, an aberration. It was a challenge that we all don't want to live through again. And our data looks very different for fiscal 20. But just to give you a sense of what we typically do, the prior year, fiscal 19, we served over 8,300 people with job training services, job placement, career pathway, and support services. Each service is free to the participant. So these are free services. Anybody can come in and walk in the door or pick up the phone or get online and access the services that we provide. We placed nearly 900 people into jobs in the community. We worked with 450 employers to help them hire our graduates. And if you look at our financials, you would see that 92% of our expenses go to support either retail or mission programs and services. So we again try to be extremely efficient with our resources that we're so fortunate to have. We have 29 main stores, or those large main stores like you see in Gig Harbor. We have 3 boutique stores. We have 3 outlet stores, and we have 1 growing online presence at shopgoodwill.com. Altogether, we receive every year, it's about 100 million pounds of donated goods every year. And more than 75% of that, 80%, are kept out of the landfill. So, we do everything we can to sell the product. If we can't sell it, we try to recycle, repurpose in some way. And unfortunately, some of it does go into the landfill, but that's only about 20%. The rest is something that we help the community repurpose for better use. That's a lot of stuff that we process. But all of that work, the thrift enterprise that we have, it's there to serve the community, of course, in terms of providing really good, gently used products at a value pricing. That's a huge service, I believe, to the community. And the proceeds from that, after we've covered our expenses, the excess, the surplus, goes toward providing those free job training programs to those 8,000 or so people. We are a private vocational school that is licensed by the Washington State Workforce Training and Education Coordinating Board. And you can think about our services in sort of 4 areas. Overall career readiness and education services, the Goodwill Cred, as we call it, the credential. We provide math basics, computer basics, financial literacy and education, work fundamentals such as teamwork, communication, collaboration, job placement, GED completion. We also provide very specific technical skills training. So some skill training in advanced manufacturing, some environmental cleanup and hazmat, and so forth. We have job placement services. Those placements are really, job fairs, of course, but also very specific personalized interviews, resume prep, internships, and so forth. And then the wraparound services, coaching our people that we work with, providing them case management, helping them set goals, helping them achieve milestones, helping them see and build a career pathway for themselves. So it's somebody who perhaps is just getting their foot in the door, or somebody who's sort of relaunching into a new aspect of their life. Wherever they are, we meet them there, and we provide the sort of wraparound services that go along with skills training to really help that person be successful long term. And on the next slide, I want to speak just briefly about what are we doing now. In the past year, what have we done, right? We have, given the fact that we have all been having to work from home if possible, our stores have been open except for 3 months out of the year when we were forced to close, but otherwise our stores have been open to the public. Our job training programs have continued, but they've continued online. So very quickly last spring, we stood up an online virtual program called Goodwill Connect. And this is something that we provide instruction. It could be via text, it could be via email, it could be via Zoom or Microsoft Teams. It could just be a phone conversation, but a number of different ways so that we can continue serving the people in our region while we cannot see them in person. We do hope that will change as the summer comes into play. But for now, we are virtual and we're continuing to service just as many people as we can. And on the next slide, several slides, I'll talk about those programs that we are delivering. So the Career Readiness Program, that's available on what we call Goodwill Connect. It's math and computer basics, career preparation, financial literacy, work fundamentals, and digital literacy. So that has continued. Getting the Goodwill cred or credential is something that we provide our graduates so that employers can see this person is ready to go to work. Also on the next slide, financial coaching. This has continued with our partnership with United Way of Pierce County and the Center for Strong Families model. This is about coaching in terms of how you build your financial picture, how you manage your finances, how do you build your credit, how do you budget your expenses for your household. It includes the employment counseling is integrated into the financial management. So it's a holistic approach. So help you get a job and help you manage the money that you're now receiving. The third area is the computer skills program. And this has really grown, the IT fundamentals, which is, how do you navigate a computer? How do you work with Microsoft Office products? That's been basic and something we've done for a while, but we've been adding to that. So now we help with basic programming languages. We help people learn how to set up a database. We have a certificate program to be a PC technician. And we have a certification program to learn Microsoft Azure fundamentals. That's the Microsoft Cloud product. Data analytics, networking operations, cloud storage. So we're really helping people advance their technology skills because we know they're going to need it. And all of this is done virtually. The next area that I'll talk about is something that's a focus of ours. But before I do that, just to close on the skills development work, one of the things that we've also been quite proud of is as we have been doing our skills training and our connection with people virtually during the pandemic, of course, we all know that there have been challenges for people on the housing front, homelessness, housing instability, and a new area for us that we have just gotten into the past several months is providing rental assistance. So we have been contracted by Pierce County to be one of the organizations that delivers the rental assistance dollars that are provided by the federal COVID funds. In the fall, we helped over 500 people stay in their homes by distributing rental assistance dollars to them. And we've just been approved to continue that work for the rest of this calendar year. It's probably our largest contract we've ever had. It is to help hundreds of people meet their rental obligations as well as their utility expenses. This is something that we are so proud to do because, of course, the critical need, but also because as we help people with their housing challenges, we can talk to them about their employment opportunities. Are they searching for a job? Do they need skills development? Is there something else we can do for them? It's all free. And so the more people we can connect with on other needs that they have, the more we can then help them with some of our core services. So I just wanted to make that point. It's something that we're proud to do as we help people come through the pandemic. But the next slide does talk about another big focus of ours. So as the CEO of this organization, I'm blessed to have a really wonderful team. I have, as Lana said, we have almost about 1,500 employees. A vast majority are in our retail stores, but we also have fantastic people overseeing mission services, human resources, finance, and so forth. With that great team, that allows me to focus on some key initiatives. One of those initiatives that has become quite clear and quite prominent is our journey to become an anti-racist organization. A year ago, I would have told you that we had been doing a curriculum of diversity, equity, inclusion education. We had conducted a number of classes with every single employee. So we had rolled out a sort of baseline curriculum on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and that was going fine. But not long into the pandemic, as I think for many of us, we recognized we needed to do more. And we, as an organization, decided that we needed to become truly anti-racist. We had to take specific actions against racism. We had to do that for our organization and for our community. And so this page is on our website. It's our statement about becoming an anti-racist organization. It's about our journey, because we are not there. We have a long way to go. We have a lot of work to do. But if you go to the website and you see that dark blue box at the bottom of the screen, you will learn a lot more about what we're doing in terms of looking at our policies, our practices, in terms of continued education of ourselves and engagement with the community. So this is a key focus of mine this year and for many years to come. The next slide talks about another key focus of mine. I said I had three. One is the focus on becoming an anti-racist organization. The other two are really focused on the long-term future of the organization. So we are next year celebrating our 100th birthday. We will be 100 years old in April of 2022. And with that, we have an opportunity to celebrate our centennial. We'll be having a campaign, you can, as you imagine, to raise money to continue our wonderful work. And this campaign focus is also part of our long-term plan, which is the third area of my attention. We are building a 10-year plan to understand what the needs of our community are going to be in 10 years and how we must serve, how we must run our enterprise so that we have the funds to support the services that we want to provide. And we are very lucky that we do have grants from governments and corporates and gifts from generous people like yourselves. But we also, honestly, 90% of what we do, we fund ourselves. That is reliant upon a social enterprise that works. As you see now, your shoppers, maybe you shop Goodwill, maybe you shop elsewhere, but I know that you probably, wherever you shop, you're probably shopping more and more online. And that means our online presence needs to grow. So we have a campaign for our centennial that is focused on technology. And the reason for the focus on technology is not just for ourselves, the technology for our operations, but the technology training and access that we need to provide the people we serve. So the campaign is called Power Up Goodwill, and it's all about raising funds to allow us to access the technology that is needed for us to keep going as a social enterprise, and that is needed for the people we serve and the jobs that they're going to need to prepare for in the future. And so with that, I would be happy to take questions And really, again, appreciate the chance to be with you all.
Thank you, Lori, very much. This is very informative. I shop at Goodwill. I'm a Goodwill shopper. I like
Thank
going
you.
there. Yeah, absolutely. So questions, Lorna?
Yes. Lori, the Rotary supports a reentry program at the women's prison. And I wondered, is there a way that that meshes with your job training and resume?
Yes, I'm so glad you brought that up. I did not know that you did that, and I would love to learn more, because one of the things that we want to do more of is supporting people who have been have encountered the justice system and who are looking at reentry. And so we're really at the point now, we're trying to think about how do we shape a program or connect with programs that others are supporting. So I would love to learn more about that.
Yeah, Lori, we can send you the information. It is Buck Freimeyer from the Morning Rotary who
Okay.
initiated that program. And Lorna and I have taught in that program in the prison. Currently on
Wonderful.
hold because of COVID.
Yeah.
But there's a whole manual out there, and it's like a 6-week course, very intense course, 2 times
Okay.
a week. Yeah. So yeah,
Okay.
I'll get you in touch with Buck Freimeyer. He's really great to work with. Wonderful.
Perfect. Thank you.
Good to hear.
Thank you.
Anybody else on questions? There have to be more questions. Lori, I understood that somewhere along the line, I don't know where I heard it, that some of the stuff you can't sell in the store, you pack up and send to Africa.
Well, not exactly.
Well, I just heard it somewhere. I don't know where I heard it.
Yeah. No, not exactly. I mean, there is a international or global commodities market for salvage. And so we do work with a number of companies that will take, let's call it, textiles that don't sell. There's shoes, there's any number of different subcategories in salvage. And yeah, to keep things out of the landfill, we do sell to those commodity brokers. But we try to focus on making sure that they are doing good with those products.
But you said 20% you can't sell.
Well, and 20%, that 20% does not go in that direction. That's 20% that actually goes in the landfill.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, unfortunately.
You mentioned boutique stores. I've
Yes.
not seen one, and just could you tell a little bit more about that?
Sure, absolutely. Yes, we have a boutique store, and the closest one for you all would be in the Proctor district of Tacoma.
Right.
There's also one in downtown Olympia and one in that little downtown Sumner area. These are stores that when you walk in, it doesn't look like a typical Goodwill. It looks more like a boutique shop. And so what you'll find there are some higher end brands of clothing, both men and women, and also some really nice home goods. So those are all items that are donated to us, but frankly, they can catch a higher price. And so we put them in our boutiques and we price them a little bit higher than you might find in the mainstream store, but still at a donated goods price. And those are great places to shop as well.
I have a question.
Yes.
Sorry.
So I sat next to somebody at a luncheon one time who told me that he evaluated like the treasures that come in, and he mentioned something about a high value painting that had been discovered. Can you talk about how often that happens and what you've run across?
Yes. So we have, when things come in, when you're donating to us, they go through a process, right, where our employees have to identify the value of something. And we have some people who are quite skilled, we call them gleaners, and they're quite skilled at identifying some key high-end items. Those then go to either the boutique, as we were talking about, or they go to our online store called shopgoodwill.com. And that's a national platform on which we sell some of our high-end collectibles. And there we have employees who are even more specialized in spotting this type of thing that you talked about. And we have, I think, sold or found ourselves in possession of a Salvador Dali that we then sold at auction. Shop Goodwill is primarily an auction site, so people will start bidding and the price will go up. But yeah, that does happen. It does happen on occasion. I can't say it happens every day or every week, but maybe a couple times a year. Otherwise, though, it's still a good place for us to be selling things online, and we're going to be expanding those offerings in the coming year. We'll see more and more of our products online as well as in our stores. You know, the one thing I was going to say about the landfill challenge that we have, unfortunately, sometimes people truly give us trash, you know. So
Yeah.
when you're donating and when you're talking to your friends and family about donating, just ask yourself, do you think this would sell? Because if you don't think so, then it's probably going to end up in the landfill. And maybe you can find a different purpose for it yourself. So this is something for us all to keep in mind. But if you're not sure, give it to us anyway, because we'll figure out a way to make use of it.
Dawn?
I've worked a little bit with Deseret Industries, and they found it was very valuable to have sorters and trained sorters. So
Yeah.
they oftentimes say, bring it to us, we'll decide.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. I'm talking about sort of the obvious, you know,
Yeah.
trash. But absolutely, because we can, you know, we can figure out, do we think that would sell online better than it would in the boutique or better in the mainline store? And then the outlets, which we have 3 of, that's where people can buy by the pound. So I don't know if you've ever been to our outlet, but they'll bring out these huge blue bins of stuff that don't sell in the main store and are not high end enough for online or boutique. And people can come in and they just fill a shopping cart and we price it by the pound. So it's fascinating.
Dawn, you had a question.
Yeah, Lori, I'm curious. I have a good friend whose sister is in her 60s, but is very, very severely disabled.
Mm.
She's been employed by Goodwill down in Oregon, where the family is from, virtually all of her adult life.
Mm.
And I don't really even know what she does while she works with them. She probably sorts rudimentary sorting or something like that. But I'm curious, how many of your full-time employees are handicapped folks?
So not as many, not as many as you might think. So we have a disability services program where we are working with people to help them get full-time independent employment in the community. So that's a program where we are working with people who come through the Department of Vocational Rehabilitation or the Department of Developmental Disabilities, and we're working with them to place them in employment in the community. We also have in about 2 or 3 stores now, we have a group of individuals with developmental disabilities, and they are working in our stores. They are receiving the same pay as everyone else in the stores, and they're doing similar jobs to perhaps as you described, Don. That is, with respect to everyone else in our stores, you know, we ask people to disclose their disabilities if they have them. And disabilities now can have quite a big range, right? Hearing impairment, sight impairment, developmental disabilities, physical disabilities. So I don't have a number for you, but what we do is try to, where people want to work in a group setting in Goodwill, we have a few options for them. Many of the people that we serve with disabilities want to be in the community and independent work with perhaps a case manager checking in with them from time to time. And that is a lot of what we do for the people that we serve with disabilities.
Okay.
But you will find that as you mentioned, people stay with us a very long time, and it's wonderful. If that's what they want, and we're really honored to have them.
Lori, thank you very much. I really appreciate your coming, talking to us. Wonderful. I'm glad I made your acquaintance. That's very great. Good. Thank you. Good presentation.
Well,
thank you.
You're very welcome, and thank you for your support of the Gig Harbor store or any other stores that you may frequent. And stay tuned, because I'm sure I'll love to tell you more about a Centennial campaign as that gets underway.
Okay, you're definitely always come back.